For Victims and Villains, my name is Josh. Today we are blasting off into space to talk about Alien Romulus. Now, just a disclaimer, these are going to be my singular initial thoughts coming out of this film. They will be spoiler-free and they will be brief. If you guys have been following our horror podcast, Abyss Gazing, we have been diving into the Alien franchise all summer, and on August 28th, we will be doing a full spoiler-filled discussion on this movie with our friends from So Much Hope Buried. If you guys do not know them, click the links in the show notes below to check out their catalog, their discography. They're a great band out of Pennsylvania, but even more than that, you can also check out their first appearance on Abyss Gazing, where we talked about Green Room. Now that that is out of the way, let's talk about some Romulus. So Romulus tells the story of a group of thieves that are essentially trying to escape their home planet, and in doing so end up actually stumbling upon the Nostronom from the original film and inadvertently face off against a horde of xenomorphs. I am going to say that this movie is a complete love letter to the Alien franchise, and we need legacy sequels that are made by fans, not just studios grabbing directors or storytellers that they feel like would be a good fit, but actually working with fans of these franchises to tell good stories in these universes. It's very obvious that the film's co-writer and director, Fede Alvarez, is a huge fan of this franchise. Not only does Alvarez take the storytelling back to its atmospheric roots of the original Ridley Scott film, but it also has the action of the James Cameron beloved sequel of Aliens and notes of the prequel films that we got a few years ago. And if that's not enough for you to get you excited for this film, it is returning not only to its atmospheric roots, as I previously mentioned, but this film just has gore on gore. This is the bloodiest film that we've gotten in the franchise, and probably even arguably one of the scariest entries we've gotten into this yet. This cast is incredible, but I specifically want to talk about and just mention the breakout performance from me personally, which was David Jonsson's take on the Andy character. Jonsson's character almost feels like the emotional core of this film, especially with his relationship with the character of Rain. It kind of almost feels like it's the same dynamic as Newt and Ripley from James Cameron's Aliens, serving as yet another callback to that film. The practical effects in this movie are absolutely outstanding. This, in my opinion, is one of the best entries into the franchise that we've gotten. And if you've been following us for any length of time with our Alien series over on Abyss Gazing, then you know that I have a love-hate relationship for this franchise. And it might be a little bit too early to say it, and it might even be a hot take, but this might end up actually being my favorite entry into the entire franchise thus far. And I think it's because I have very little complaints about this movie. It has perfect pacing, that there's always some aspect of the story that was gripping me, whether it was my eyes peeling the screen to kind of see if there's any xenomorphs moving around in the background, if there's an emotional connection to one of the characters, the fact that this film revolves around a heist. There's so much that this film does in its runtime that I felt like it accomplished everything that I've ever wanted from an Alien film. The practical effects in here are outstanding, and they're so good in this that they even make the visual effects, which is my only complaint about this. Some of the visual effects just feel incomplete. When you get to some of the surprising legacy moments in the film's second act and into some of the more climactic elements in the third act, the film just kind of looks painfully undone in certain portions. And I honestly don't know why the reason for that is. It just kind of feels like they were just afterthoughts compared to the remainder of the film. But before I jump into spoilers, just one more time, August 28th, you guys can catch Bisgazing's full spoiler-filled discussion with So Much Hope Buried. Again, in the links below, you guys will find links to all of our previous Alien episodes, So Much Hope's Buried music, as well as their first appearance on Abyss Gazing with talking about Green Room. But let's run this bad boy through the Rorschach rating scale. I am going to go ahead and give Alien Romulus a 4.5 out of 5. I think this movie is arguably the strongest sequel that we have gotten from any entry into this franchise thus far. For one, Fede Alvarez swung and hit a freaking home run with this. This film is atmospheric, it's bloody, it's emotional, and it hits all of the notes that you want from not only a good storytelling and a great horror movie, but also an engaging sci-fi film and everything that you could ever want from a Alien film. I think this film was well worth the wait, and it is an incredible feat for this franchise. If you guys have seen Alien Romulus or you guys are planning to see it this weekend, comment below and let me know what you guys thought about it. We are not going to go ahead and do any mental health discussions on this video. We're going to save those for the Abyss Gazing spoiler-filled episode on August 28th. So wherever you guys get your podcasts from, go click subscribe to Abyss Gazing and join the conversation when we talk about this movie in length on August 28th. But if you or someone you know is struggling with suicide, addiction, self-harm, or depression, click the links in the show notes below to check out our mental health resource library. But until next time, remember to keep it spooky, keep it classy, and that in space, no one can hear you scream.